Just a quick video on strength training for running. Okay, and this is my message to all runners that are wondering, should I include strength training in my program? All right, this is backed up by research, and this is really the key to getting faster. Putting more force into the ground. Okay, ultimately, training form has a role in that. Improving your running economy, all of these things. Running is important, but the only way that we are really going to become stronger and significantly decrease mile times and increase running performance is by learning to put more force into the ground to improve the power with each step and to increase our ability to push off, all right? Or our strength in pushing off. Now, when we look at running, running is an action that occurs on one leg, okay? So it makes sense that we want to get really strong in things that occur on a single leg, okay? And again, squats are important and, those will play a role, but they're not as specific as lunge progressions to running. Now, when we talk about lunge progressions, I'm going to show you a couple different kinds that are all going to play a role. But the first thing that we want to do is learn a split squat. All right, a split squat is kind of the precursor to everything else that we're going to do. With the split squat, I'm in a split stance here. I'm just dropping straight down. My knee stays over my toe here. I'm just, again, I tell people, pretend you have a line that's tethering you into the ceiling. Okay. And again, I'm just dropping straight up and down. So this is step one. All right, I can get strong in that movement by holding a weight, goblet style, just dropping straight up and down. But again, that's kind of step one, okay? And that's just to teach proper mechanics, making sure that the weight is in the midfoot, just as we would during heel strike, okay? So now from there are three different types of single leg exercise that we utilize in our programs, and three things that you could benefit from. Number one being what we call a dynamic accelerative lunge, okay? Because what I'm going to do here is what is called a reverse lunge. I step backwards and I step forward. I step backwards and I step forward. We can increase the difficulty of that by holding weights to our side. I like to hold it offset to kind of increase the core demand. The point is that when we step backwards and then we come forward, I'm teaching my swing leg here to extend and to produce more force, okay? So those type of lunges are going to improve the power of your push off. They're going to make you run faster, be able to push forward more powerfully. So we call those our performance lunges, okay? We get stronger in those in order to decrease mile time, improve performance, all right? We have another type of lunge that we call a decelerative exercise, and that's a forward lunge, okay? Because when I look at a forward lunge, what I have to do, move out here so you can see me a little bit better, but I step and I decelerate, okay? I control the force and I stop, okay? And what we see oftentimes with with people doing lunges and runners is that they'll land and they'll collapse forward onto their toes, okay? You've probably seen this in the gym where people are doing, say, walking lunges and they lunge forward, they come forward, they just collapse onto their toes. They're not able to, boom, stop and then control. And the importance there is that as I'm running, I want to be able to control the force as I stop and I slow down and I decelerate. Okay, so both of those things play a role, but if you're a runner that experiences a lot of injuries, okay, whether it be hamstring or whatever, oftentimes that's going to be due to the fact that you're not able to control your stride as well as you possibly could. So increasing strength in that area, is going to be an important one for you. And again, we can increase that by, holding weights to our side, just controlling, and coming back. And with that particular one, what I like to do is just land, control, and just come down as far as I can without collapsing forward. And for some people, that might be just to here, whereas I can control all the way down and stop myself and push back off. Just make sure, once again, that the weight stays in your heel and your midfoot. Okay, now, our final progression, or our final exercise, would be a single leg, what I call a single leg unsupported. And with single leg unsupported, that's just doing a true single leg squat where I sit back, I tap, I come back up. One more time, I sit back, I tap, I come back up. And if you're watching, as you can see with me here, when I'm doing this, okay, my knee stays over my toe. Okay, it's not collapsing in as I'm coming down. And that's the other thing that we see with runners a lot, is that when they're doing, these exercises or when they're running, we get sort of this dynamic valgus collapse. They're not able to control the hip bone as they run. And so we don't have good control over these hip muscles as a result. So doing this exercise, the single leg unsupported squat, where I'm sitting back to a chair, I stand back up, I mean, you can start as simply as sitting back onto a 2 inch, 2 inches, and coming back up and just learning this so you get deeper. And I want to emphasize this is not a pistol squat. I'm not a big fan of those, but simply sit back to a chair and stand up. You will notice huge benefits in your injury reduction as well as power production because we're controlling our muscles better, and as a result we're bulletproofing our body against injury and improving performance. So those three things are huge, what I would definitely recommend, things that we include in all of our programs. Hopefully I gave you some ideas for your own training.